that was a big deal for me, was to have it confirmed by the intelligence community. And that happened in 2021. For real. But there was no
Have what confirmed by
implication
the intelligence community?
that I had really been going through what I was going through, personally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did they confirm this to you?
Conversation. And I can't go too, but I can't say anything who it was. But I knew they were the real deal. And I appreciated that, actually. It made a big difference for me. You know, when I got that confirmation...
This is wild.
Well, probably not for a lot of people. But I'm in the circles, so I people know this.
Really?
Yeah, people know. I mean, I'm probably not the only one it's happened to. You're taken aback.
Somebody in the intelligence community confirmed to you that your personal experiences are real.
Correct. Huge for me.
In 2021.
2021.
How do you know this person was legit?
Because I could find him. You know, I could
on
look.
like LinkedIn or something?
Correct. No. I could look him up, and huge resume. I knew who he worked for, and there was no reason for him to say what he said. And he actually gave examples. So, and that, I mean, it just, when you go through this your entire life and you're questioning your own sanity around it.
His first name wasn't Jim, was it?
No.
Okay.
I know who you're talking about. I had a conversation with him too.
Yeah.
I did. And
yeah, I did too.
You did?
I had a phone call with him. Yeah.
Wow. No, he was. I also got confirmation from him in a big sense too. There were several people actually, but it was one in particular who sat me down. We left our phones, went out to a back couch, back out of this whole area.
Mm-hmm.
Had a private conversation, and I laughed through a lot of it because I thought he was joking, you know. And he said, "No, really, you really have to listen to this." And he said quite a few things, but it was.
How do these people feel about this?
I think they know it's going to come out.
But how do they how does it personally affect those people? Do they tell you how they feel about it, how it affects their lives, like knowing this kind of stuff and not being able to share it with anybody?
Well, they're sort of been in the audience, essentially watching this happen, knowing it's real for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I think in some of these people I've met that they feel good finally that they're doing the right thing. You know?
Are they afraid of it?
I think it's a mixture. Same with everybody. It's a mixture of awe and fear. And I think that's true because this could literally change all of our lives in a positive way and help rescue us in a sense. I hope so, but it's also terrifying. But I feel like those people I've interacted with feel like they're getting a weight off their chest, like that this is something they feel good about. This is not an operation where they're, you know, making here we're going to do this to do this. There's heart involved, and I can tell they actually care, and that's a relief. That's been a relief. I can't believe what's been happening in the last year. It's really
in the last year.
Yeah, I mean it's been going on but just this past year has been unbelievable.
How so?
Just all that's happened. The threats, the people I've met with.
Oh, the threats, yeah.
Yeah. And the conversations I've had, it's hard to keep up with it. You know, I also have to live my life and work on my next film. And it's like I've been spending a lot of time just like taking in what's happening because it's hard to believe, and you do have to vet everybody. You know, you really do. You have to be very careful what you believe and who it's coming from and if there is an agenda, what is their agenda. But yeah, it's just, and I know I'm not the only one going through this. A lot of people are. Yeah. And I have to always remember, like, I am kind of on the edge of the curve, you know, edge of the cutting edge of it, essentially, because I demand to be there because it's affected me. and affected a lot of people I love and know, and everybody in the movie and everything I've done too. I have to realize the public is not quite there, and they won't be there for a while, and that's okay. I have to be patient, which is why I would love to share a lot more. It's just I just don't think it's going to serve me or the whole disclosure. I think we need to be talking about the craft, and I can't believe we even got into the back end engineering recovery program. That was a shock. Like, I thought that would come way down the line, but no, it was like the first thing. Oh man, that was a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about it? Like, even hearing what I'm saying, does it set your meters off?
I'm still kind of like absorbing the whole I'm kind of on the fence about the nuts and bolts part of it, like with the things that the Navy pilots are seeing. I think I tend to think that stuff is probably ours, like stuff that the military has control of, because why else would it be in a Navy pilot, like a training area for Navy pilots, right? Like, it would make sense that if these guys had just upgraded the radar in their planes, we might want to test some like black military projects on them and see like how it works against our top Navy fighter pilots, right? And I know that, I've read about, and I've read the history on like agencies like DARPA and like some of the black projects that they've been working on forever. And, obviously all of this disclosure stuff has to do with, it revolves around these aerospace companies that are trying to keep secrets, right? They're protected. You can't FOIA them because they're private companies. And I think that's what David Grush was basically blowing the whistle about. Like, his job was to keep track of money, right? And he was seeing that all this money was going unaccounted for to these companies, and like all these budgets were going to them, and they didn't have to disclose anything that they were working on. And I think it was Lockheed Martin and
Northrop,
yeah, in Ohio, right? So, obviously these companies have huge secrets, and they're spending tons of money on stuff. It's it makes sense that they've probably figured out anti-gravity, and they probably have developed something. If I was to bet, right? If I had to make a bet on whether an American aerospace company figured out crafts that the way Graves and Fravor described them, I would bet that we have figured that out. Not to say that, this phenomena, I think this abduction phenomenon is a whole separate thing. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, because it's just there's no evidence for it. B, it is just like, it blows your perception of the universe out of the water, that this kind of stuff could actually be happening, that we are a fish in a fish tank that are being, reeled up out of the water and poked and prodded and then put back into the water, like, pulled out of the literal time stream and being like looked at and experimented on by something that we don't know what the fuck it is. That is just like, that's really hard to grasp. Like, I've been thinking about it for a long time now, and it's still something that I think would really break a lot of people if it became something that was like accepted by the government, and this is what it is. Like, if they let this out to the public, I think it would really break a lot of people.
I agree. That's why it's got to be carefully done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have no question. I mentioned it. Had a lot of conversations on it lately. I mentioned it to somebody recently. When I was in South Africa and Zimbabwe, particularly South Africa. I went to the Air Force Base, a couple of them, to say, hey, can I get in and speak with you? And amazingly, I thought they would just stop me at the door. I told them what I was doing, a documentary on this issue. And the commander said, yeah, come on in. He invited me into this Air Force base, the main building. And he was a commander. He brought a lieutenant colonel with him, female, blonde hair. And, you know, I asked them, do you guys see this stuff? Do you know about this? And they're like, oh, yeah. They were just very matter of fact about it. And I've also found this in South America, another military I was speaking with. You know, and he said to me, you know, we can tell on radar the difference between the American version, the Russian version, and the real thing.
What?
Yeah. That's exactly what I said. I was like, what are you talking about? I had never heard that before.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the lieutenant colonel's right there. And I'm looking at her. I'm like, are these people bullshitting me? Because I didn't know. And I'm like, oh no, they're really for real. So I was there for probably 20 minutes, and they were sharing this stuff with me. But what it turned.
And they had no idea who you were.
I had been on the radio over there, trying to bring out the aerial witnesses and other witnesses in Africa. Mm-hmm. Because when I was doing aerial, I was also interviewing tons of other witnesses from other events as well. So I think they may have known, they had heard I was in town. It's not a very, if you're in the media in Africa, people know. Okay. So, yeah, that kind of, it makes me think about what you're talking about. That do we? Probably. We have great engineers. We've been doing a lot of Townsend Brown, electrogravitic work for quite a long time. So it wouldn't surprise me if we have operational vehicles. And according to certain people I've talked to, like him, and apparently we do. But here's the question: like on this whole phenomenon, this stuff's been flying around for a long time. Mm-hmm. Since at least World War II, that we've been seeing it,
right?
And it's no different than what we're seeing today. It's the same behavior, same everything. So that tells you it's likely not us that did this, unless there was some breakaway civilization that somehow managed to engineer and keep it completely separate from everybody else back before World War I, World War II.
Right.
That's hard. That's a little more hard for me to believe. But this phenomena has been reported all the way back to the early stages of humanity, in one way or another.
Right.